The night was quiet in Florida when police officers pushed open the door to a small home. What they discovered would become one of the most shocking crime scenes in American history. Young women lay beaten and broken, their lives taken in the most brutal way. The man responsible wasn't a stranger lurking in the shadows. He was a law student, a man many described as polite, intelligent, even charming. But behind that mask was one of the deadliest killers the country had ever known, Ted Bundy. His crimes would terrify college campuses, send fear across state lines, and change the way America thought about safety forever. The question was simple but haunting. How could someone who looked so normal commit horrors so dark? Years before that chilling Florida night, Bundy had already been leaving behind a trail of terror. He blended into crowds, used a smile like a weapon, and convinced his victims that he was safe. He tricked them by pretending to be injured, asking for help with something heavy, or simply offering a ride. By the time anyone realized the danger, it was too late. His charm was a trap, and many young women never made it home. Bundy's crimes didn't start in Florida. They stretched back to Washington, Utah, and Colorado. In Seattle, girls began vanishing without a trace. College campuses grew uneasy as rumors spread about a man with a cast on his arm, luring women with a soft voice. In Salt Lake City, the same nightmare repeated. Families reported missing daughters. Police gathered clues, but the pieces didn't fit together fast enough. Bundy always seemed to stay one step ahead. Despite the chaos he created, Bundy managed to keep up his appearance as a respectable man. He studied law, shook hands with politicians, and even volunteered at a crisis hotline. To the outside world, he was just another ambitious young man with a bright future. But behind closed doors, he was studying his victims, waiting for the right time to strike. The contrast was chilling. To his friends, he was Ted. To the world, he would become a monster. The true scale of his crimes was almost too large to believe. Dozens of young women disappeared across states, their faces appearing on missing posters that brought heartbreak to every community. Parents pleaded on television for their daughters' safe return. Police departments across the country worked around the clock. But Bundy was clever. He changed cars, used fake names, and shifted from state to state before investigators could catch up. He left destruction in his path, then disappeared into the crowd like a ghost. But Bundy wasn't invincible. Each crime scene carried small details, fibers, footprints, and witness reports. Investigators began to notice patterns. The same description of a handsome man with an injured arm, the same Volkswagen car, the same type of victims, young women with long brown hair parted down the middle. Slowly, the net was tightening. Still, Bundy struck again. In one horrifying moment that shocked the entire nation, he entered a Florida sorority house and unleashed unimaginable violence. The scene was so brutal, it became a turning point in the investigation and sealed his place in history as one of America's most infamous killers. Police, reporters, and terrified citizens asked themselves, who was this man who seemed so ordinary yet committed crimes so monstrous? That night in Florida would not be the end of Ted Bundy's story. It was only the beginning of the nightmare unraveling. What came next would reveal not only his cunning mind, but also the shocking way he managed to keep fooling people, friends, neighbors, even police officers, while continuing his killing spree. And when the truth finally came out, the entire country would never forget his name. But before Bundy became the face of evil, before his trial turned into a national spectacle, and before his execution became a public event, there was a beginning when Ted Bundy was just another man blending into society. And it was there, in the quiet corners of his early life, that the seeds of horror began to grow. As the investigators pieced together the crimes, another shocking disappearance hit the news. One that would push the case into the spotlight and bring Bundy closer to being unmasked. It was a bright afternoon when the news broke. Another young woman had gone missing, this time from a busy college campus. Friends said she had only stepped outside for a quick errand, and she never returned. Her books were still on her desk, her jacket draped over the chair, as if she planned to come right back. But she didn't. The pattern was chillingly familiar, and detectives knew deep down that they were dealing with the same predator. This new disappearance left the community in shock. Posters with her face went up almost immediately. Students walked in groups, afraid to be alone even in daylight. Parents were terrified to let their daughters leave their dorms. Police held press conferences, assuring everyone that they were working around the clock. But behind the scenes, investigators were growing frustrated. They had too many cases, too many leads, and not enough proof to tie them together. The man they were hunting seemed like a ghost, but this ghost wasn't invisible. He was right there, walking among them. Ted Bundy still attended classes, smiled at neighbors, and kept up his normal life. No one who shook his hand or heard him speak would have guessed he was hiding a double life. Even his girlfriend at the time believed he was an ambitious young man with a bright future. Yet at night he prowled, looking for his next victim. Bundy had perfected his method. He often pretended to be injured, using a fake cast or crutches, and asked women for help carrying books or loading something into his car. His victims thought they were helping a harmless stranger. Instead, they were walking into a deadly trap. The cleverness of this act is what made him so dangerous. He used kindness as bait, and by the time anyone realized what was happening, escape was impossible. Investigators began connecting the dots. Witnesses repeatedly described a man named Ted, who drove a light-colored Volkswagen Beetle. Police departments across several states started to share information, slowly building a case. But the process was painfully slow. In the 1970s, without the advanced technology we have today, linking crimes across different states was a challenge. As police searched for answers, Bundy's confidence grew. He believed he was smarter than the detectives chasing him. Each successful attack fed his ego. He even went so far as to attend community meetings where people were discussing the murders, listening carefully to what police and the public thought about the mysterious killer. To him, it was like a game, and he was winning. But his luck would not last forever. One night, Bundy pulled over a young woman in Utah. He tried to convince her to trust him, but something about his behavior made her uneasy. She managed to escape before he could take her. Shaken but alive, she gave police a description of both Bundy and his car. For the first time, detectives had a real lead that pointed directly at him. This was the break investigators had been waiting for. They now had a name, a car model, and a description that matched reports from other states. Police began watching Bundy closely, gathering evidence, and waiting for the right moment to act. But Bundy wasn't finished. Before police could build a strong case, he struck again, this time in the most terrifying way yet. In the middle of the night, at a sorority house in Florida, Bundy broke in. What happened inside the house was so violent, so horrifying, that it shocked not just the campus but the entire nation. The crime scene will become one of the most infamous in American history. Reporters rushed to the site. Parents begged universities for answers. And police realized they were dealing with someone far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. The hunt for Ted Bundy had just turned into a national emergency. The morning after the sorority house attack, chaos spread across Florida State University. Police cars lined the streets, reporters filled the sidewalks, and students huddled together in fear. Inside the house, the scene was devastating. 2 young women had lost their lives, and others were left injured. It was a moment that gripped America with horror. For weeks, headlines screamed about the phantom killer who struck in the night. Parents across the country were terrified. If their daughters could be attacked in the safety of their college home, nowhere felt safe anymore. But this time, Bundy had left behind mistakes. Witnesses had seen a stranger lurking near the sorority house. Tire tracks were found. His face had even been described to sketch artists. The image matched reports from earlier cases, and police were now certain the man terrorizing America had a name: Ted Bundy. Soon after, Bundy's luck finally began to run out. He was pulled over by police for a traffic stop in Florida. At first, it seemed like a routine arrest. But when officers searched his car, they discovered burglary tools, masks, and other suspicious items. Bundy tried to charm his way out, but this time the evidence was too strong. He was taken into custody. The arrest made national news. People wanted to see the man behind the horrors, and when Bundy appeared in court, many were stunned. He didn't look like a monster. He wore suits, spoke politely, and even smiled for the cameras. Some members of the public found it hard to believe that this well-spoken man was responsible for such brutal crimes. But the survivors, the families, and the investigators knew the truth. Behind the mask of charm was cold-blooded violence. Bundy made his trial even more shocking by deciding to act as his own lawyer. He cross-examined witnesses, argued with prosecutors, and turned the courtroom into a stage. Reporters filled every seat, broadcasting his strange performance across the country. Some people even came to watch out of curiosity, drawn by the chilling fascination of seeing a killer defend himself. But the evidence was overwhelming. Survivors bravely testified. Physical evidence tied him to the sorority house. And Bundy's own arrogance only made him look guiltier. When the jury finally returned with a verdict, it was clear. Ted Bundy was convicted of murder. The judge handed down the death sentence. Even then, Bundy refused to stop manipulating those around him. He continued to deny some crimes, confess to others, and toy with investigators. But as the years passed, the weight of his actions grew heavier. Detectives from across the country connected more and more unsolved cases to him. Families finally began to get answers about what happened to their daughters. Outside the prison walls, the public was growing restless. People demanded justice. Crowds gathered whenever Bundy appeared in court, some even holding signs calling for his execution. America had never seen a case like this before. A man who looked ordinary but carried out extraordinary evil. On the day of his execution, the atmosphere was electric. Reporters from all over the world came to cover it. Outside the prison, people gathered with signs that read, "Burn, Bundy, burn." The world watched as one of the most notorious killers in American history finally faced the consequences of his crimes. Ted Bundy's horrific trail of violence had left scars on countless families, but his capture and punishment showed that even the most cunning criminals could not escape justice forever. His name remains a reminder of the darkness that can hide behind a friendly smile, and why America will never forget the crimes that shocked the nation.